And welcome to the last talking game of the season. West Ham United have just won 2-1 away to Burnley. Tom, are you a happy hammer?
Yeah, I guess you could say. Finishing the season on a win is always a good thing. But it just felt a bit sour last weekend against Liverpool. It just sort of, I was ready for the season to be over. So yeah, I'm happy that we've pulled a result out today. But in the grand scheme of things, no, I'm not overly happy.
Well, let's get stuck into the game as always. Gonzo, the first 23 minutes. It took us 23 minutes to score, or Burnley to score rather. But the first 23 minutes was it had that sort of end of season feel to it, didn't it? A couple of half chances for either side, but neither side really getting their foot on the ball. But they were showing commitment.
Yeah, to be fair, I did think that they troubled us. I thought the pace of Gray in particular we found quite troubling, really, and I was not expecting to win after that. That first little section, even before they scored. I wasn't extremely confident of getting the win. I've got to say, I thought they maybe had the slightly better of the exchanges.
I think it maybe been a bit harsh there. I don't think either side really dominated. I don't think either keeper had much to do apart from Figuli's half chance on the edge of the box. Tom, they did make it 1-0, though. I mean, it's not the first time we've seen us concede a counter-attacking goal this season.
Yeah, no, it's not. I can't remember which defender was out of position. I don't know if it was Fonte that had come over and two men were marking one player. It was a good ball as well, and a good little finish from Vokes, an easy tap in. So, but like you said, it's not the first time this season we've seen us concede a counter-attacking goal on numerous occasions this season. But credit to Burnley, they opened the score and a good goal at that.
Gonzo, was that a goal that sort of summed up our defending over 90 minutes? Over the season, sorry.
Over the season, yeah, it's been poor defensively, hasn't it? I think was Fernandes was sort of tracking him and then lost him as well, so it was Font also then sort of came to cover what Fernandes was perhaps trying to do, left him available and free to finish. It was a relatively easy finish, wasn't it, for him in the end? So yeah, they got amongst us and got amongst us well. As I say, I thought they were able to get behind our back line a bit because they had a bit of pace, didn't they? But Ogbonna didn't look. It was great to see him. Great to see him back as well, by the way, because he is such a good player. But he didn't look fully fit as you'd expect. And a couple of people at fault for that goal.
3 minutes later, though, Gonzo, one of the best goals we've seen all season.
Very, very good, wasn't it? Yeah, and I thought Feghouli looked live. That wasn't the same Feghouli that we saw at Bournemouth, for instance. He was sort of tracking back, he was running around a lot, closing down. I thought maybe Roma must have had a couple of scouts up in the stands or something. So he was really putting himself about. Fernandes, who played well all day, I thought, was involved. Ayew, sort of little dummy flick thing, and he finished really well for Feghouli. Really, really well. Good goal, highlight goal, one of the best goals of the season for us.
Tom, were you impressed by the whole one-touch passing, the movement, the flick, the finish as well?
Yeah, I know. We haven't seen that for a while, have we, really? Since the likes of, since Payet was here, we haven't seen that sort of little flicks and tricks and stuff like that. No, it was a great little ball from Ayew and a fantastic finish from Feghouli. He's sort of, unfortunately, he's come a bit too late, but he's sort of shown us, I guess, the finishing that he possesses. He was probably one of our best players out there this afternoon. He created an awful lot. But yeah, it was a lovely team effort and a good finish from Feghouli.
Well, dead rubber game or not, Tom, how has Westwood found himself on the pitch after that tackle?
I've got no idea. We can only take it as the referees thought, come on, lads, it's the last game of the season. But his boot is ridiculously high. It's an awful challenge, right down his groin, hamstring, whatever you want. Any other game of the season, that's a red card. So why is it not today as well? I think Westwood's got off lightly there because 5 minutes later he was, although probably not a bad challenge, but he was throwing himself into Feghouli again. So he's incredibly lucky to stay on for as long as he did, to be honest with you.
Gray should maybe have made it 2-1 for Burnley just before half-time on the 41st minute, but they went in 1-1 at the break. Then Gonzo, I'm going to skip until the 71st minute because not a lot happened in half-time and the 71st minute. There wasn't too much talk, but the 71st minute, though, we did get decent passing play again.
Yeah, absolutely. But we did play very, very well, I thought, up to that. It was only that first 23 minutes or whatever you said, and then I did actually think we managed to get our foot on the ball. We managed to do some better stuff. We managed to inject a bit of confidence into the team. I also thought the fans really got behind the team really well. The fans, I think the sun came out quite late in the day, and the fans that they're having a party atmosphere. I do think at the end we were deserved winners. There's no doubt about that. And as you saw at the end, we were hunting a third and a fourth.
Tom Gonzo doesn't really want to comment on the goal. Would you like to comment on the goal?
It was a good goal. Fernandes was very, very good, instrumental again. I thought Ayew might miss it, bearing in mind he missed that one the other in the last game. But yeah, it was a good goal. It was a good goal. Fernandes impressed me today, though.
Tom, does Ayew deserve that type of luck, if you like?
Well, you could say that, but then he had the luck the other week. Went against him when he sort of missed it and hit the post twice from flipping 2 yards out. So no, I thought he was good today. I don't like him as a striker up top on his own. I don't think that's his best position. But those are the sort of goals we've seen him score all season. In and around the 18, in the 18-yard box, just little poachers finishes. And yet again, he was sort of right place at the right time. I think he was fortunate to get that goal. Fantastic strike by Fernandes, but I think he's got. He's again, but right place, right time. But any good striker will be in those kind of positions, ready to lap up those kind of chances. We often say that the best strikers are the ones that are like that. And he was in the right place at the right time and a decent header. So and obviously that's always going to go down well with the West Ham faithful when you run up to the crowd and give an iron sign as well. So yeah, I think he's had a great second half to the season. It's just a shame we haven't had him for the entire year because he could have probably entered double digits for us this season.
The Lanzini went very close with a free kick just before the end. Then we finally saw our first teenager of the season. It was in the 90th minute, but Rice came on to replace Fernandes. And we won 2-1. We finished 11th, unbelievably. But Gonzo, Fletcher came on for Snodgrass. What do you think of Snodgrass's performance today?
It's. I mean, we're talking. We're not. I don't know. We're not as delighted as we should be. Bearing in mind we've won today, but I do actually agree with what Tom said earlier. Actually, I go one stage before that. I felt the season ended after the Tottenham game. You could have drawn a line under it. Then when I saw the team done, I saw Snodgrass on it. It almost sucked the life out of me. We've had all that nonsense on Twitter for the past couple of days about teenagers and about this, that, and the other, and. Snodgrass, when I saw Snodgrass and Feghouli in the team, I thought, oh, crikey. Well, you know what? I got it wrong with Feghouli. That's fair enough. Snodgrass actually put in a shift today, but it's uninspiring. It doesn't inspire you when you see those players on there, I've got to say. And it took him a long time to get them off. And I would have liked to see the youngsters played a little bit earlier today. I thought when Rice came on, I thought 91st was almost bordering on insulting, really, if I may say so. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of him. As for Snodgrass, you know what I think? I don't think he'll get into the team next season. If he does get into the team next season, then we've not bought well enough. But that's a subject for a different show.
Just touched on Feghouli, Gonzo. I know you praised him, but the video before, you said you don't want to see him in a West Ham shirt again. Is today's performance sort of changed your mind a little bit? I said, hello Gonzo, hello West Ham fans, this is what I can do if you keep me in the next.
No, it's actually irritated me because I saw more effort today than I've seen in all these other games put together. He was running around, closing down, and why wasn't he doing that before? What's the significance of the last game? Well, clearly he's not playing for a contract. He's already got a long contract. I think he's running around playing for a transfer, and I think that's why he ran harder. Why didn't he do that before? No, it's annoyed me that he didn't put in that kind of effort. I do think there's a player in there. I think he's got good crossing technique, and we've seen today he's got good finishing technique. I think the ball should have been squared to him at the end, by the way, when Ayew shaped up for a left-footed shot and he was there. I think he should have just laid it into his path. He might have been talking about a player with 2 goals today, but no, it's not. He's not won me over. Far from it. He's annoyed me by putting in. He's almost like the Leicester team who couldn't be bothered when Ranieri was there. Ranieri goes, oh, well, right, we'll put in the effort. That's what he's done today, and he's annoyed me, actually. He can still go.
I think Andre Ayew was fantastic as well today. I know Tom said it as well. I thought he was brilliant again. I think he's been brilliant all season, bar a few games actually. It's just unfortunate he had that injury at the start of the season. Then he had to go away for the African Nations Cup. And it's quite frustrating in a way that if we had him all season, he might have looked like a £20 million player. He's now played 1,400 minutes and scored 6 goals and 3 assists in that time. That's a good return for the amount of time he's been on the pitch. So if you sort of double that next season and he's given us 12 goals and 6 assists, that's fantastic. That's a £20 million player right there. Fernandes, this is an awkward one for me because he was rubbish against Liverpool, but he was fantastic today. Had a big part to play in both goals, but he was sort of brought in as an attacking midfielder, but we played him centre midfielder. Do we have to make a decision on where he plays now? Do we have to make a decision? Is he an attacking midfielder or is he a centre midfielder? Because if he is a centre mid, a couple of times today he got caught out again defensively. A couple of times Arfield standing behind him. But I don't want to take anything away from him. He played fantastic. But do we need to decide what position Fernandes is going to play at?
Oh yeah, massively. Because I think, when you saw him playing that role last week against Liverpool, I think, better teams will expose him for what he is. I know obviously it was a couple of times today, but it's not his natural position. No, it's not. Even having Lanzini that deep is not, it's not good at times. But I think, I know yourself has alluded to in shows before, I think his best position is in behind the striker because he's a lot more creative. He's allowed that space to work in behind the strikers and pull the strings a little bit. But I don't think next season, depending on, Kouyaté, Noble, Obiang's obviously going to have his place back. I think, he's either back up to Lanzini or he makes his way into the team as, as another attacking midfielder. I don't know what the positions or the sheet will look like next season, but he's played so many different positions to cover for people, whether it be right wing back, centre attacking mid, winger, centre mid. I think his position next season should just be out and out attacking midfielder. But the thing is, he can play that role in centre mid. But like I said, when we're playing against top teams like Liverpool, they will expose him for what he is, and that's not to say he's he's bad, but it's just, like we said, it's not his natural position. So in behind the striker next season for me. When the starting guys come back into the team.
As Gonzo touched upon, there's been a lot of chat on social media this week with youngsters playing, not playing. Thanks, David Gold. But we're not going to go into that on this one because it's a review of the match. Me and Gonzo will pick it up in our next cup of tea, and that's what will probably be the main topic. But guys, we finished 11th, 1 point away from 8th. I mean, if there was a 39th game, we'd all be sitting here thinking we could actually get 8th. But Gonzo, does that sort of paper over the cracks, or has Bilic actually done really well to get us there eventually?
Perfect choice of words, Gio. Perfect choice of words. It would have papered over the cracks because 8th would suggest that it's been a good season.
11th papered over the cracks.
Yeah, possibly. I think 11th mid-table. We've got there in the end. We've had a couple of little streaks throughout the season. It may not have been the prettiest stuff, but we weren't as bad as. Did we deserve to be near the bottom? Were we as bad as Sunderland and teams like that? No, we weren't. But it wasn't brilliant. Does 11th paper over the cracks slightly? It might well do. But it's a little bit of filler, a little bit of sandpaper on the cracks, maybe. It's not. You can still see them, but it's not wallpapered over them completely. So we know that there's good thing. We know that there's a lot of work left to do. I think hopefully Bilic knows that. The board know that. Had it been 8th. Oh, well, they could have sat back and said we don't need to do anything, and we wouldn't have liked that, would we? So, slightly flattering, let's say.
Tom, you on the Bilic out beater, your little needle's kind of gone between the two all season, really. But has he done well to get us 11th, or is it sort of he's had quite a little bit of luck? And given that some teams are maybe giving up this season, we've won today, we've managed to climb up there. What's your thoughts on it?
I think it's been a different Premier League season. I know there's, the last sort of 2 Premier League seasons really have been so up in the air, what with Leicester winning it last year and this year, the way that the gap sits between 8th spot and 16th spot, I think is nuts. I can't remember seeing a fight for those last few places in the Premier League, especially from 8th all the way down to 16th in years. There's always been that gap, even if it's just, 5 or 6 points, but this is something that's split by points in goal difference, I think Bilic has done well to come back, because I think we think back to the start of the season, how awful we were. And even coming back to a few weeks ago, I said, yes, relegation is a realistic possibility. And I think there has been times this season where we have been fantastic. The thing is, I see how well Tottenham have performed in the last 2 games. Harry Kane scoring 7 goals in 2. Now, is that because Tottenham had played so well, or because we were so good the other day defensively that that we deserved to win that game? And that's what I mean. There has been flashes of brilliance in the team that we saw last year. And I think Bilic has done well, especially with all the talk and the media and the owners and everything. I think he's done fantastically well to come back to the position that we have been in this season. But to be honest with you, that doesn't mean to say we've been bad, because I do think we have been one of the worst teams in the league this season at times. You think of all the spankings we've had at home from the top boys, and even away from home sometimes results have been poor. But I think that's always going to be the case, especially when we finish 7th year before. We're going to be open to all this criticism, especially when we finish where we finished this year. But I mean, you can't complain really with where we finished up. At 11th, we could have been 8th. I think of all those times this season, if we maybe hadn't lost at Spurs, or if we'd have maybe managed to get a goal against Everton the other week, or losing to Leicester twice, there's times when we could have picked up maybe a point or a win here and there that could have pushed us further up the table. But considering where we have been in points this season, I think you have to say to Bilic, fair play, mate. You've rescued us and you've got us to the position that we're in now. But we can't rest on our laurels. We have to go into the transfer market, and we have to back our manager and back the team for next season so that we can, push into that, top 8, top 6.
I think he's done well to get us 11, but is well a compliment these days as a football manager? Is that's sort of slightly above good, isn't it? It's slightly above average almost. But at the start of the season, I was watching our reviews from a year ago because I was writing down the questions for us to do our reviews again this week for the channel, and one of them was, what's your assessment of Bilic? We were all singing his praises. We were all saying, I hope he's here for a long time. I've got a feeling our review on Bilic this next week is going to be a lot different. And he's had a list of things to deal with, from Payet to the stadium, etc. But some of them things on that list is because of Bilic to an extent. He's affected some of those things, like Arbeloa, etc., having no right back. That's because of Bilic, but it's one of the things that's causing us to lose points and be in 11th and not 8th, for example. But I think he's done well given it. But I read somewhere that last season was the season of Payet, and this season is the season of the London Stadium, and next season's got to be the season of Slaven Bilic, and that's what's going to deal, or we say cheerio to him at the end of the day. But anyway, we've won at Burnley. Gonzo, any last words for you? Don't give me a man of match yet, but your last words, last thoughts.
No, I think it's probably wise, bearing in mind it is Burnley, to say how well Sean Dyche has done. They're a small club, and he's done really well to keep them up. He's not spent an absolute fortune. They had their best player, Defoe, who I think is their best player, on the bench today as well. So I think he's done really, really, really well. We've played them twice this season, obviously, as we played everyone twice, of course. And we were lucky to beat them at our place. And I just think they've done, as a small club, they've done really well. There's bigger clubs than Burnley been relegated this year. So, yeah, big shout to him, really. I think he's done well.
Tom?
I think the last point I make about Bilic is, I think it was disgusting what Leicester did with Ranieri. He should have been given that time to turn this season around. He exceeded all expectations, and he should have had time to at least turn the squad around and save them from relegation, which he probably would have done. And I think it's the same with Bilic. I think he earned his time this season to turn it around. He did turn it around, fair enough. Fair play to the board, because there was probably a number of times, whether it be the slow start or, later on in the season after numerous spankings, that we could have, or they could have probably pulled the plug and say, enough's enough. But, I'm glad that they've stuck with him through the season. There will be people that still want him out in the summer, and I guess you could say that's justified. But like we said, we've had one good season, we've had one not so good season. Next season, there's no excuses. There's no Payet. We would have moved into London Stadium, and as long as the board spend the money, I think then we judge him on how good he can be next year. As for Burnley, with Gonzo saying and being a small club, I think that small club mentality at the end of the game, I saw there was a little pitch invasion from the Burnley fans, which did make me laugh a little bit. But yeah, just glad the season is over and we can look forward to the summer.
And they were singing about Blackburn going down, which I thought, I've got nothing against Blackburn or anyone else, but bear in mind, we just had our rivalry with Tottenham. You could tell they were really enjoying, Burnley were really enjoying the fact that Blackburn had gone down, and that tickled me.
I think it was a good win today, actually. I think it's an underrated win in a way. Turf Moor is a very hard place to go. It doesn't matter if it's first game, middle of the season, or the last game of the season. It's still a hard place to go. You can see how much Sean Dyche and Burnley wanted to win that one today. I think it's a good win. Village made a big call today by not playing any youngsters, despite all the pressure on him. He stuck with his seniors, if you like. There was a decent bit of cash up for a stake. The board would have been certainly keeping an eye on where we are in the league and how much money each position gets. Let's not make no mistake about it. Resulted in an extra £4 million or something like that. That's a lot of money. That's Zabaleta's wages for a season. That's a lot of cash. IU's goal got us. So it's paid off, because if we didn't win today and he didn't play any youngsters, he would have got fire rained on him by the fans, saying, well, you might as well play the kids, etc. By the way, last question. For the last time this season, Gonzo, who is your man of the match?
Man of the match today, as I say, Fernandez was fantastic. I could give, I'll give him a glass out of the champers, but the rest of the bottle I'm going to give to Ayu.
Ayu and Tom.
For me, I don't know, to be honest with you. I could probably say Faguli, to be honest with you, because I think that's probably one of the best performances we've seen him put in a West Ham shirt. But I think Ayu was brilliant as well. So, but I'll say, for the fact that maybe, like Gonzo said, he was performing up to some scouts in the stands, or that old theory. I'll say Faguli today. I
thought Byram and Fernandez played quite well today, actually. I thought them two played quite well, but they both made some mistakes. But Faguli shades it just for me, just ahead of Ayu as well. But I thought they were both brilliant, both our best players. But anyway, that's it from us this season. Thank you very much for joining us over all 38 games. We're going to have plenty of videos coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've got our season review as well as our awards, although they don't get any trophy lined up. Me and Gonzo will be having our cup of tea as usual. But that's been Tom, that's been Gonzo, I've been Jill, we've been Hammers Chat. Hit that subscribe button, join us on the forum at hammerschat.com, and we'll see you next season.